Hello, my name is Angel Gonzalez, and I'm a student here at Lone Star College, University Park. When I found out that Professor Johnson was nominated for the Faculty Excellence Award, he told me that he needed to submit a 15-minute video of him teaching. So I decided to take this task. But instead of making the normal 15-minute video, I decided to make a documentary. A documentary about how Professor Johnson has impacted the lives of students and faculty members.
Hello everyone, my name is Ignacio Aguirre. I'm a student here at Lone Star UP, and I am a criminal justice major. Now, what can I say about Professor Johnson is that he is very much unlike any other professor I've ever had here. And I've taken quite a few classes here. I'm almost going to graduate with my associate's degree. And usually, whenever I came into any of my previous classes in the previous semesters, it would just be me going to class, saying hi to the professor, doing my work, taking my final, leaving, and that'd be the full extent, and never really talk to them again. But Professor Johnson is different. He really takes his time to engage each and every one of his students in his lectures. And he remembers every single one of them, to the point where further down the semester, he'll just look at all the faces in his class and he'll know exactly who's missing and who's already here, so he doesn't have to call roll every single class. One thing that I really like about him is his enthusiasm for teaching criminal justice. That's something that really inspired me to try to pursue a career in criminal justice, even though I'm not entirely sure what that may be yet. He's definitely inspired me to keep going where I am. I was a political science major and I needed some electives, and criminal justice sounded interesting. So I went ahead and I took his criminal law class, and my mind was just opened. I really learned a lot in his classes, especially criminal law, which was my favorite class I ever took with him. He really showed me, that criminal justice, it's not just being a police officer, it's not just working in the courthouse, it's not just working in the jail. It's something that's so complex that you can literally sit for hours and just list all the jobs that come with it. Another thing that I really like about Professor Johnson is the fact that he genuinely does care for each of his students. He'll invite us to go back to his office, and he'll talk to us about life, ask us how we're doing, what are our problems, and he'll listen to our problems and actually really help us through it, like he has been helping me recently. And that just makes all of his classes feel like one big family. Even though we may not all talk to each other, we all kind of pretty much know each other. And that's why I really like him as a professor. And I see myself taking all of his classes, but still continuing to interact with him and actually go visit and see how he's doing. That's how much of an impact this professor has had on my life.
My name is Maria Canales. I'm a student here at Lone Star. I've had all of Professor Johnson's classes. I've been with him since my first semester here. One thing that I like about him is that he's more than just a professor. He's like a father to many of the students. His office is always open for you to come talk to him about anything other than just academics. It can be struggles that you're facing in your daily life. He offers guidance, words of wisdom. One thing I like about his teaching methods is that he doesn't care about grades. He cares about what you learn.
justice. But either way it goes, it's where we mete out justice. Well, Mr. Johnson, give me an example.
Hello, my name is Caroline Stewart. I am a student at University Park, Lone Star. I'm coming on today to talk about Professor Johnson.
Well, some civil justice needs to happen.
To be honest with you, when I was for our previous semester, I was just coming to class to try to get a grade, to be honest with you. But once I started taking Professor Johnson, he just sparked that interest in me. At first I thought I knew what I wanted to do. Oh, I'm just going to be in social work, social service, working in that type of environment. But Professor Johnson, he really sparked an interest in criminal justice for me, per se. I can say for myself.
Crime control. Remember what Mr. Johnson says.
So my husband took him prior to me. And my husband used to always say what an amazing person he is, and also what an amazing mentor he is, and also what he has to go to get to this point. So I was like, oh, let me just get my feet a little wet. Let me just take intro into criminal justice. So I took his class last semester, and it was amazing. He sparked my interest, and also about his life stories. His stories are similar to mine, so I can relate more to him than any other professors that's here at this campus. He's an amazing mentor, he's an amazing person, and I see nothing but great things for this amazing Professor Johnson. Thank you.
You may not have your parole hearing to your 25th year. You're just eligible.
Hi, my name is Keith Jerome. I'm an adjunct professor at Lone Star College. I was brought here due to Professor Jermaine Johnson, a good friend of mine. He and I, we formed the role as police officers together and worked together as partners for a short time, for a stint. Professor Johnson has really impacted my life in a tremendous way, not just with the academics of school, but also his spiritual walk with God. He and I grew up in the inner city of New Orleans, and for us to be here at Lone Star College now, some 20 years later, has been very remarkable and somewhat unbelievable to us because of the journey that we both traveled. I see the impact that Professor Johnson has had on the students and continue to have on the students here at Lone Star College, which is very impressive. And I know that his heart is in the right place as far as being able to have a genuine concern for the students here and their well-being and their education. He's not just trying to groom them to be excellent scholars, but also he's trying to prepare them to be excellent human beings in life. I think Jermaine Johnson, Professor Johnson, deserved any awards that has been presented to him. He's well deserving of it, and it couldn't happen to a better person. I just wanted to congratulate him, and once again, I just want to thank God for him being a part of my life and being able to impact my life the way he has. So with that being said, congratulations once again to Professor Johnson and for those who has nominated him for this award.
Hi, my name is Eunice Nieto and I'm a criminal justice major here at Lone Star College, University Park. Mr. Johnson is not only a great professor, he's an amazing person, a father figure to most of us. He helps us reach our goals and makes sure we're still on track. He cares about all of us. He's the glue that holds everyone together, and he makes us a family. He's changed my life, and I don't know if I would be where I am now without him.
If someone did kill your family, why would you want them to have the easy way out and put them on death row instead of letting them rot in jail for what they did?
Hi, my name is Sandra. I'm a student here at Lunar College University Park, where I major in criminal justice. What I really like about Professor Johnson's class is that he breaks down the material. He's not like other teachers and reads off the part. He really goes through each section and makes you understand. Throughout his lecture, if you don't understand his material, he will stop the lecture and go through it all over again so you can understand and no one gets left behind.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Sherry Sawyer. I am psychology faculty at Lone Star College University Park. What makes Professor Johnson an awesome professor? He gives his 100%. He is that professor. He believes in tough love, but with that tough love, he's going to follow it with soft love and good love. He's going to make sure if he's scolding you, you're going to know why he's scolding you, but he's also going to follow up and make sure you understand why. He's also that professor that will take the time to listen. You actually know he cares. He has a passion for criminal justice and criminology, and he exudes that as a professor. He's very poignant, he's very structured, and most importantly, he's professional. And you can definitely tell by the following that he has from students that he's really, really good at what he does. He's definitely an asset to Lone Star College University Park. We are happy to have him. He's made an impact in the criminal justice department. He's definitely helped me many a times within the psychology department with ideas. We've collaborated many times. I've brought him ideas and he always says, let's do it. Let's make it happen. I don't even know if this man exudes negativity. He's just always so positive in everything that he does and that he says. And he's not even ashamed at some point in time. If he needs to take time out to pray with you, he will. Whatever it is that you need, Professor Johnson is there to provide and support. How he has made an impact in my life is wow. He's one of those people I definitely know that I can go to when I need to hear the truth. And sometimes truth is what you need and it's not sugar-coated, but the way that he presents the truth to you is one to where that you will truly understand. He's presented situations to me as I've talked to him and he's flipped it and said, Sherry, look at this perspective. I want you to analyze it this way. Listen to what people are saying. Don't be so quick to jump or say something back even though you want to, or even though they might be wrong in the situation. Pay attention to what's being said, because what is done in the dark will always come in the light. He's definitely made me a more conscientious person, to pay attention to my surroundings, and once again to be an observer. You don't always necessarily have to be a participant with something, but pay attention to what's going on around you. He's definitely my go-to person. I am so glad that he is here. I always joke, and Jermaine knows how we met, but our circle of how we met is quite interesting as it came full circle. But I'm definitely glad to know him as a colleague, a mentor, a friend, and most importantly, a brother. I appreciate you, Jermaine Johnson, soon to be AKA Dr. Jermaine Johnson.
As we're talking about chapter 13, what we want to do is give you a context or understanding. This is the last chapter that I'm going to teach, and I need you to take notes so that you can understand this stuff, right? So you get a full concept of what we're talking about. Remember, the CJ system consists of what? Hold on a second. What's the CJ system consist of? What are the three components?
Corrections, courts.
Corrections. What's the second one?
That's courts.
Courts. Outstanding.
And the first one, that's the police.
Awesome. Outstanding. So out of this semester, you should have left out of here with police, courts, and correction, and you impress your family and friends and let them know that these three make up the CJ system, right? But each one of them has a functionality. And of course, we know police is the law enforcement. They're going to enforce the law. They don't make the law. All they do is enforce the law. They recognize when you have committed a crime. But we put an asterisk here by courts, one, because courts is the class that we're in. That's number one. And number two, we want to understand the functionality of the courts. And one of those functionalities is sentencing. That's what we talked about today. Now, I always like to let's put a double asterisk by corrections, because this is how Mr. Johnson sees the three-tier system. And I see it as correction is the only one, in my opinion, that does nothing. All they do is baby sit. They're taking care of the ones that has been put there, right? All right. But when we look at that, and actually, watch this, sentencing has nothing to do with corrections, because it's the courts that lays down the sentence. All corrections do is fulfill whatever the sentence is. Make sense? Am I making sense to you? Yeah. So when we look at sentencing, let's look at that word sentencing. So we go from crime, criminal, police, arrest, courts, and this is pre-trial. Whenever you get that, pre-trial, before the trial. And in courts, we have this thing called the trial, and the trial is another functionality of the courts, because the trial is where justice is meted out. That's the primary functionality of courts. We have courts to mete out justice about a particular situation. Now, it could be criminal justice or it can be civil justice. But either way it goes, it's where we mete out justice. Well, Mr. Johnson, give me an example. Well, Mr. Johnson and Alejandro, we go into a contract about some work he's supposed to do to my house. Well, I pay him, and he doesn't do the work. Well, some civil justice needs to happen, unless I'm going to do what Annabelle says. I'm going to say an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, and take it into my own hands. Well, if I do that, then I'm eliminating what the courts is made for. So what I do is I take it to court. And so let me pause right there. We must understand that we all have signed a social contract. From the day that you were born, you signed a proverbial or an imaginary social contract. And that social contract suggests that you will allow your government or where you live to take care or handle your business, right? So if someone steals from you, instead of you eye for an eye, let's teleons and go steal from them, instead of us living like that. Well, we signed a contract with our government, and our government will take care of that for us, right? And so that's where we are with courts. So we trust courts will mete out justice. So therefore, we're going back to the sentencing. Some are for the death penalty, some are not for the death penalty. Some feel that the death penalty brings about justice. Some feel that there's no justice in killing a person just because they killed the person. Where is the justice? You can't bring them back, right? So what does the family members get out of the other person dying? It's whatever philosophy or mindset you think about, but remember, everything is centered around justice. And so the courts is bringing about a justice. Now, when we look at sentencing, there are philosophies that are behind sentencing a criminal. There are philosophies that are behind sentencing a criminal. Now, there are many philosophies, but they're going to be under one or two umbrellas. That's my umbrella. These are going to be CJ ideologies. These are the umbrellas for sentencing. One is going to be crime control. Remember, Mr. Johnson says sentencing philosophies are going to be found under one or two CJ umbrellas or ideologies. The other one is going to be due process. This conservative. This liberal. Now, when we look at it from those two umbrellas, you will begin to see about philosophies. Now, what are the philosophies, Mr. Johnson? Okay. Well, I think one, what was the first one? Annabelle?
Rehabilitative or
Let's start off with
incapacitation.
What's another one?
Restorative.
Restorative. What's another one?
Retribution.
What's another one?
Rehab.
Huh? Rehab. I think that was the four that y'all. Rehab. Now, by way of arrows, you can tell me which umbrella goes with which. Right? Help me out, Keith. Incapacitation. Crime control and due process.
That's crime control.
All same. Restorative.
Due process.
Retribution.
Crime.
Man, I love y'all. Rehab. You see? You see? See how that works out? And so when we look at that, just depending on the political climate that we are in will determine what type of sentencing you will see. And so when we look at incapacitation, restorative, retribution, rehab, I like what you said, 1970s. You began, let's just say 1950s, all the way to 1970s. I want to show you this, particularly for Alejandro, because I heard him speaking, and for all of you who are rehabilitative 1950s to 1970s, this was the era of due process. And because it was the era of due process, we were under this umbrella, the type of sentencing that we saw during that time were called indeterminate. I can't determine how long you will be in prison. Why? Because it was under the due process, rehabilitative, restorative, all of that. And so what we said was, instead of giving you a determinate sentence, beginning and end, you know it, we'll give you an indeterminate sentence. Therefore, when you get out, it's totally upon you. I give you anywhere from 10 to 25 years. You can get out any time you want. When you began to show signs, Monica, of rehabilitation. So you start doing good, you're not getting in fights, you're going to this program, blah, blah, blah. Yes, sir, Captain, how you doing, sir? You're doing, man, this dude is changing. So then we say, you know what? Let's let him out. He's changed, he's rehabbed, he's reformed. And then you let him out. Problem with that is when you're dealing with a true criminal, it's okay for somebody like Lauren. You know, Lauren's the type, she get a spanking, she's going to do right. Do right. But when you're dealing with a criminal mind, an indeterminate sentence is just a free get out of jail card, right? So he or she is going to do everything they can in front of you so that they can what? Get out. So from the 50s to the 70s, watch the time frame. From the 50s to the 70s, we have indeterminate. But watch the consequences, Alejandro, to this. The consequences was crime rates went up. Because the very people that you were letting out were getting out and doing the same thing again. So now watch what Mr. Johnson is saying. So 1970s, all the way you get to 80s, this is the height. What happened to you? Tough on crime. So now citizens are like, man, we're tired of these. We got high crime rates. We're tired of this. We need to do something about it. So if citizens are afraid of crime rates, then the politicians latch on to what the citizens are saying. So now citizens are campaigning based off of this motto, which is a conservative motto, which will fall under the crime control umbrella. And when it falls under the crime control umbrella, now we're not giving you indeterminate sentencing, we're giving you determinate sentences. What is that, Mr. Johnson? Well, you're getting mandatory minimums. You're getting truth in sentencing. What, Mr. Johnson, what are you saying with all that? Well, mandatory minimums means when you commit a crime, it's mandatory that you do a certain percentage of your time before you even consider